credit. Your interest rate will be unique to you based on your repayment history. Even if you've defaulted before, you can rebuild your record and qualify for a better loan interest rate over time. Pay your loans on time, build a strong repayment history, and unlock more opportunities. Contact your bank for more information.
Good evening and welcome to Easy Friday. I'm Carren, Kibbet. Now, as the week winds down, we are bringing you the stories that mattered across the world today, from key developments in business and the economy to the biggest moments in sports and beyond. It's been a busy day and we've got it all lined up for you, clear, concise and easy to take it into the weekend. Let's get started. Here are the highlights. Securing the Nyanza region's backing. President Ruto says the region's interests are best served in his administration, supports the ongoing pre-election coalition talks between the UDA and ODM parties. Safety of opposition leaders. United opposition leaders meet Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, demand security assurance, warns of mass action if no action is taken. Cattle theft and mob justice. Father, son and in-law lynched after they were cornered while transporting suspected stolen livestock in Makueni. Welcome. This is Easy Friday. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Byron Abuli. Now, President William Ruto has moved to secure Nyanza's region's backing for his re-election bid in next year's general election, saying the region's interests are best served in his administration. Now, addressing Kisumu residents at the famous Kondele roundabout, the head of state said the ongoing pre-election coalition talks between the UDA and ODM parties will place the Lakeside region firmly inside the government and actualize the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's wish for a united nation. The president, at the same time, lashed out at the opposition figures over what he described as empty political rhetoric, as Wakili Towers reports.
The fifth graduation ceremony of Uzima University in Kisumu provided President William Ruto with yet another platform to remind the country of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda pillars upon which his administration is hinged, which he claimed has set the country on a sustainable development path. Ruto saying that the new health system, the affordable housing program, as well as the country's new savings mechanism are a testament to his administration's effective leadership.
Across the country, over 240 affordable housing units are at various stages of completion, restoring dignity and creating jobs. In fact, after this function, I will be launching such affordable housing program right here in Kisumu. In 30 months, we have more than doubled what we had saved in 60 years through NSSF.
And there we now clearly see the foundation stone, Boma Yangu.
The president thereafter broke ground for the construction of phase 2 of Kanyakwar affordable housing project, where he reaffirmed his elaborate plan to transform the country's housing agenda.
Pesa ile tumeweka Kisumu County ya kujenga manyumba, ya kujenga masoko, ya kujenga hostels ya vijana wetu ni shilingi bilioni 44. Hakuna administration ingine ambayo imeweka pesa bilioni 44 hapa Kisumu County. Na ndio sababu hiyo mimi nawaeleza ndugu zangu watu wa Kisumu, hii mpango itatusaidia kupata ajira ya vijana.
The first in command later engaged Kisumu residents at the famous Kondele roundabout, where he sought the region's backing in retaining the country's top seat in next year's polls.
Wale jamaa mimi nawaeleza hapa Kisumu na Kenya mzima, kila kiongozi anachaguliwa na ile kazi amefanya. Hakuna mtu anachaguliwa kwa sarakasi. Hakuna mtu anachaguliwa kwa ukabila. Hakuna mtu anachaguliwa kwa maneno. Kila kiongozi akuje mbele yenu aseme ile kazi amefanya, nyinyi mpige msasa, mchague kiongozi ambaye ako na agenda, ako na program, ako na sera, ako na maono, ako na maendeleo.
Ruto told the locals that Nyanza region's interests will be best served under his administration. He added that the UDA-ODM pre-election coalition talks will ensure that the Lakeside region is not sidelined politically.
Tumekubaliana tuongee na ndugu zetu wa chama ya ODM. Tutengeneze serikali ya 2027. Nyinyi watu wa Kisumu, mimi naomba ruhusa yenu jameni. Mnakubali tutengeneze serikali pamoja? Chama ya ODM na chama ya UDA.
Sisi kama ODM, wiki uliopita chini ya mwenyekiti wa Dr. Oburu Odinga, tulipitisha ya kwamba sisi kama ODM tunaenda safari ya Canaan tukipitia Singapore. Na tulikuja hapa Kondele tukathibitisha siku ya Jumamosi.
President Ruto also announced that the SGR construction works that will extend to Malaba through Kisumu shall commence in March, this being part of the development budgetary allocation to Nyanza region. Reporting for Channel 1 from Kisumu County, I am Wakili Towers.
Tuko pamoja.
Thank you, Wakili, for that report. Moving on, the united opposition are demanding an end to what they term as sustained attacks and harassment against former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and his political allies. Speaking after a meeting with the police chief at Vigilance House, opposition leaders led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Martha Karua accused the National Police Service of failing to ensure safety of opposition leaders in the country, by extension, failure to uphold freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution. As John Kahiro now reports, the faction has warned of mass action if no action is taken to address the issue.
The united opposition leadership on Friday marched to the office of the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, demanding answers and accountability over the recent spate of attacks allegedly targeting the former Deputy President and DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua. Led by the Wiper Patriotic Front leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Martha Karua of People Liberation Party, the opposition leaders presented a formal petition to IG Kanja, accusing the National Police Service of complicity and inaction.
Violence has become an existential threat to our democracy. And we've seen it in Chwele, we saw it in Malava, we saw it in Othaya last week, we saw it in Gilgil, and we are saying enough is enough.
And I think from today, kama anajua, we said we shall escalate this matter to the international community, all the human rights organizations, the UN itself. Wajue that indications in Kenya now are that we do not have a police service. We have a country under Gunism.
The leaders cited multiple incidents across the country, with the latest attack at Witima in Othaya, Nyeri County, where a church service attended by Gachagua was violently disrupted, forcing worshippers to flee and leaving a trail of destruction. They termed the attacks as premeditated, deliberate, and politically motivated.
We have given them up to the 16th to specifically deal with those items, 23 incidents, and there are even more, where the police have not only been complicit, but they have actually actively participated in lawlessness aimed at assassinating national leaders, and more particularly Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua.
The United Opposition has now given the police boss until 16th of February this year to address their concerns, warning that failure to act will trigger mass action across the country.
We'll be back here. If they have not arrested those police officers armed with AK-47 rifles, we shall call for mass action. The church, Kenyans, kila mahali.
We are also telling them, get out of electoral matters. Whenever there is elections, like there was a by-election, let the police do their work of security, not partisan political stance or assisting one political party to get their bid.
The faction in its petition has at the same time demanded the IG institute independent, impartial and a comprehensive probe into the string of attacks, immediately suspend and prosecute all police officers and civilians implicated, and take urgent measures to guarantee the safety of the second Deputy President of Kenya, his family, supporters and the general public. The opposition leaders later intensified their campaigns in Marikiti Market, Nairobi, ahead of their planned return to Othaya in Nyeri County on Sunday. The United Opposition has challenged the National Police Service to be at the forefront in safeguarding and protecting the public safety, warning the sustained attacks that threatens to demoralize the country's democratic freedoms. John Kahiro, Channel 1 News, Nairobi.
Thank you, John Kahiro, for that report. Now, 3 suspected livestock thieves were killed by an angry mob in the Mimea area, Mukaa Sub-County, Makueni County. The suspects, a father, his son, and their brother-in-law, along with 2 others, were cornered while transporting 2 stolen cows from the Ngiini area. One suspect managed to escape, with another nursing serious injuries in Makueni Hospital. Meanwhile, police in Narok town have launched investigations after the body of an unidentified man was discovered in a trench along the Narok-Ololunga. Details on this and more in the Crime Watch.
The deceased were among 5 suspects caught with allegedly stolen livestock in Mimea area of Mukaa Sub-County. Residents applied mob justice to the suspects, killing 3 of the suspects by lynching. The 3 included a father, son, and an in-law. Another one is nursing injuries in Makueni Hospital, while the 5th managed to escape. The local community has raised concerns over the increasing incidents of livestock theft in the region.
Ikiwa hii ni njia mojawapo ya kukomesha wizi sehemu hii, basi wezi ni vizuri wajue wananchi pia wameshikana na serikali kuhakikisha visa hivi vinaisha pande hii. Mnajua jinsi koti inafanya kazi. Mtu anapatiwa bond anarudi, wengine wanapatiwa bond wanarudi kwa huu wizi. Ndio inakasirisha wananchi wa hapa.
Wananchi wa Kimakiu, wa Kilome, wa Makueni waweze kushirikiana na idara ya polisi ndio tuweze kupeana information kwa wale wahalifu wenye wanawajua, wenye tunaishi na wao, ndio tusiweze kupata vitendo kama hizi.
Meanwhile, police in Narok town are investigating the death of a man after his body was discovered in a trench along the Narok-Ololunga road. The incident was reported at around 6:30 a.m. by a boda rider who alerted officers at the Narok police station. According to Narok Central Police Sub-County Commander Benson Pamba, the body of the deceased had head injuries suspected to have been inflicted using a blunt object. The body was moved to the Narok County Teaching and Referral Hospital morgue for post-mortem.
Transport along the Eldoret-Malaba highway was severely disrupted as border riders and local residents staged demonstrations following the alleged assault of a rider by county enforcement officers yesterday evening in Eldoret town. In Kiambu County, residents of Lusigeti town of Kikuyu area blocked Gikambura Gikuyu Road after a school-going child lost his life and another one was seriously injured after being hit by a vehicle along Thogoto Mutarakwa Road.
For the better part of Friday, the Gikambura Kikuyu Road was a no-go zone for vehicles as area residents, fed up with constant road accidents, took to the streets. In the latest incident, one child died while another one was left nursing serious injuries after being hit by a vehicle on the way to school. The area residents now want bumps erected and a footbridge constructed to ensure the safety of children and other road users.
Shule zote ambazo ziko karibu na barabara wahakikishe ya kwamba kuna watu ambao wanaangalia watoto wetu wakati wanatoka shule kuvuka barabara na wakati ambapo wanaingia kwa shule.
Karae mpaka hapa Rudhigiti tukue na stage hata kama ni mbili designed ambapo kila matatu itajua tunafaa kusimama hapa, tunafaa kuachia watoto hapa, tunafaa kuchukulia watoto hapa.
They said the stretch had become a death trap for children.
Saturday last week kuna mtoto mwingine aligongewa hapa akienda shule akafa on the spot, na kwa bahati mbaya alikuwa anazikwa leo. Kwa hivyo leo tulikuwa tunajitayarisha tuende mazishi ya huyo mtoto, tena mwingine akakanyangwa hapa asubuhi.
Elsewhere, transport along the Eldoret-Malaba highway was disrupted as border riders staged demonstrations following the alleged assault of a rider by county enforcement officers in Eldoret town. They burnt tires on the road to express their anger, bringing business to a standstill. Police had to lob tear gas canisters to disperse them. They later marched to the Uasin County headquarters, demanding an audience with the governor.
They beat border until lose conscience. It is not a good thing. So we ask governor to intervene.
Leo ni siku ambayo tunataka tungangane na kanjo kidogo na sisi kama boda tumekasirika, alafu wako na mchezo ile ya kupiga wananchi.
Alafu wanakustua eti kama una pesa hii pikipiki tunaenda nayo wapi? Tunaenda nayo kwa municipal. Sasa watu wako na mazoea. Sisi kama raia wenye tunabebwa na boda tumekuja kwa support
boda who had flouted the traffic rules had his motorbike detained. Later on, about 2 hours later, this man fainted somewhere in the streets of Eldoret. He was not beaten, he was not roughed up by our council askaris. This man had his own medical problems.
Uasin Gishu Police Commander Benjamin Mwathi has warned area residents against blocking major highways.
This is an international highway. Inapita watu wengi, ambulance inapita, wananiconvenience watu wengi wa biashara.
Nancy Okwari, Easy Friday.
And Nancy Okwari's report leads us to our first short break right here on Easy Friday. Let's take that breather. I'll be back with more reports.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tunaangazia ufugaji wa nzi wa BSF.
Tunajifunza mbinu nafuu ya uzalishaji wa chakula cha mfugo.
Hii ndio tunaita black soldier fly larvae.
Aha.
Huyu ndio mdudu ambaye ndio chakula ya kuku. Na naweza kueleza sio chakula tu wa kuku wa mifugo ama kitu kingine. Pia wanadamu pia.
Wow.
Ni chakula yetu. Hivi karibuni tutakuwa tunaitisha chapati BSF.
BSF.
Ama ugali BSF.
Wow, sio.
BSF bado inakuja kutackle climate change.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1.
Kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
My name is Rehab Wangoi Nganga.
This is the Nganga. Tulipatana kitambo. She was my classmate.
Oh!
Probably when I first saw her, she kind of stood out. He relocated back. and I didn't have any contact of rehab. I got her number through my mom.
Alikuwa ananipea hints that I'm interested, but hakuwa nisema. He was just a very good friend. This notion about dating your best friend.
I was always hesitant because ujui kaa utaambiwa goja, no. And that is when I was behind her with my proposal ring.
I felt so special.
The first tear I shed on that day.
Being my future husband there, and he was emotional, he cried.
Umeona mrembo.
She was beautiful.
She was beautiful.
Yeah.
Kaya Musha. It is always a good time on Bridge over Congo.
Catch us every Saturday from 10 p.m. till midnight.
Join me, the Rumba Supreme Leader and the Grand Ayatollah Simeon Mfumo Kimbango and
Winnie Marie Jose, Bridge over Congo.
Mungu esilaka na nzungu te kasi elengia Mungu esilaka na
Chumbi huyeyuka chunguni lakini ladha yake hubakia.
Welcome back. For those joining us right now, this is Easy Friday. Now, women leaders from across the country are calling for the consolidation of bursaries currently managed by MPs, MCAs and governors into a single transparent kitty to better support needy learners across the country. Speaking in Nairobi, women leaders led by Eco Network Africa Foundation President Dr. Jennifer Riria have also called for urgent action to address what they term as a growing crisis of a majority of grade 10 learners who are yet to join senior high schools. They further decried rising insecurity, even as they called for gender-based violence to be declared a national disaster.
A day after Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba found himself in the receiving end from members of parliament over the implementation of grade 10 transition, women leaders led by Eco Network Africa Foundation President Dr. Jennifer Riria have expressed outrage over what they termed as increasing verbal hostility among political leaders in the country.
Women of Kenya, and indeed all Kenyans, are equally appalled by the recent outburst of verbal violence by a section of legislators directed at Education Cabinet Secretary C.S. Ogamba and his permanent secretary P.S. Bitok. Bickering and shouting at each other is not only a case of ill manners, but also bad example to our children.
Speaking in Nairobi, a coalition of women leaders drawn from Eco Network Africa Foundation, Africa Women Network and the Democracy Trust Fund, however, raised alarm over low transition rate from junior secondary to senior secondary, chaotic placement processes, high school fees, inadequate infrastructure and shortages of teachers, terming them a major setback to the implementation of the competency-based education. The women called for consolidation of bursaries and fixing of what they termed as a crisis in the education sector.
Hizi bursaries zimegawiwa kwa MCA, kwa MP, mara kwa governor na hata kwa rais, kwa ofisi ya rais, hata ministry. Ziko kila mahali, lakini inatushangaza kwamba hii pesa ni nyingi na watoto bado hawaendi shule.
Put the bursary in one kitty. And we are saying that kitty then can be managed properly with no corruption.
Additionally, they condemned recent incidents of violence, including the use of tear gas and alleged firing of bullets at worshippers in places of worship.
Tunajiuliza kama kanisani kunaweza kuwa ndio kuna tupwa tear gas. Kanisani ndio hata risasi inarushwa. Sasa sisi tutakimbilia wapi?
We demand that those leaders who are perpetrating hatred and violence must be dealt with by the systems that are legally put in place.
Meanwhile, the women also welcomed the release of the Presidential Technical Working Group report on gender-based violence and femicide, led by Dr. Nancy Baraza, even as they endorsed recommendations to declare gender-based violence a national disaster.
Wakati wakina mama wanakuwa na hiyo shinda, wanadhulumiwa kila mahali. Sio wamama peke yake wanateseka. Wababa pia wanateseka kwa sababu hao ni wasichana wao, ni mandanda zao, wamama zao.
Na ndio tunauliza His Excellency the President aamue na announce kwamba GBV is a national disaster in this country.
Joseph Wahungu for Easy Friday.
Now, a total of 90,000 youth are set to benefit from a 6-month training program to be carried out by the State Department for Youth Affairs, which is set to be rolled out later this year. Principal Secretary for the State Department for Youth Affairs and the Creative Economy, Fikirini Jacobs, has confirmed that the government has started receiving applications from prospective youth, with successful applicants expected to be notified in 2 weeks. PS Fikirini Jacobs has announced that the youth will receive 6 months of training with a further 6 months internship program to follow. A 20 billion Kenya shillings budget has been set aside to facilitate the program under the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement project, while trainees will receive a monthly 6,000 shillings stipend from the government.
Kwa kuwa vijana wengine wengi walikosa nafasi ya ule msaada wa biashara wa kuweza kuwapa pesa mtaji wa kufanya biashara, ile ruzuku ama grant. Sasa wale ambao walikosa nafasi ile wako na nafasi sasa ya kujiunga katika mradi huu ambao watapata mafunzo ili wajiendeleze kimaisha. Kuanzia jana usiku tulifungua upya ukurasa wa vijana kutuma maombi ambao ni kupitia USSD code ya *254#. Vijana waweze kutuma maombi kwa muda wa wiki 2. Tunafanya mradi mwingine wa kutambua ujuzi wa asili ama recognition of prior learning kwa wale vijana ambao walipata ujuzi lakini hawana vyeti, hawezi toa ushahidi wa vyeti vyao.
The Law Society of Kenya, LSK, has been challenged to remain firm and steadfast in its quest for justice and championing for good governance as the country heads to the 2027 polls. Speaking during the ground-breaking ceremony of Wakili Towers in Nairobi, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said the LSK is a critical body, especially in keeping government at the check, urging its members to rise to the occasion and ensure Kenya becomes a country where the rule of law is adhered to the latter. Chief Justice Martha Koome, who was in attendance, hailed the initiative of building the Wakili Towers, saying it will go a long way in strengthening the role of advocates in the country.
The groundbreaking ceremony for Wakili Towers in Nairobi on Friday brought together two critical players that have been at loggerheads in recent days: Law Society of Kenya and government.
I asked Faith earlier, where do you get the courage to make this noise?
That notwithstanding, it was a platform to mend friendships, shape a new start and a new future for Kenya towards achieving the values of the Constitution. Here, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen pledged to support the Law Society of Kenya in its quest to uphold the rule of law and champion good governance.
There must be people who raise serious issues of governance. And when I see young lawyers, some my students, some even younger, raising serious human rights, democracy, governance issues, touching on the current administration, including my office.
He used the opportunity to refute claim that the government is adamant in faulting LSK for failing to initiate dialogue with his office after making tough decisions.
And my office is always, most targeted by Law Society of Kenya, by Amnesty International, by all this. Please just know that I don't take any offense. I would have done exactly the same. It takes a balanced criticism of government for government to do better. And if you don't do so, there is no way we are going to improve.
The President of the Supreme Court and Chief Justice Martha Koome hailed the launch of the Wakili Towers, saying it will go a long way in strengthening the role of advocates in the country.
Just want to commend RSK for remaining very ethical and maintaining very high standards of independence and non-compromise. Because we were looking at that plot which was allocated and we were wondering whether we could go as a law society and build on an allocated plot.
We are where we are because of the people who are before us. When we take these offices, let us recognize the people who are before us. Let us bless them, pray for them, and let us recognize them in any way possible. As the Office of the Attorney General will soon be having our museum and our AG Towers, and we'll see how we will celebrate the people who are before us in the Office of the Attorney General.
The fighters for the promotion and protection of human rights and all people of goodwill, people of governance, rule of law, transparency, they are housed in that tall building called Wakili Towers.
Speakers at the forum said the project is long overdue, urging the government to support its completion.
We can finally have a home for the Law Society of Kenya, where our members, being the premier bar in the region, can be proud to say that this is the home of rule of law, this is the room for integrity, this is the room for good governance, and an opportunity for members of the young bar to come and learn, grow.
It has always been the organization that has stood up for the citizens' rights against violations by all sorts of people, anybody, including citizen upon citizen. Over the years, the Law Society has grown, and with it, the need for facilities that will enable it perform better in its mandate.
The Twin Tower building, themed 77 years of justice, vision and progress, is estimated to cost 1 billion shillings.
I'm personally delighted that Faith has been able to actualize that vision, and today we have broken ground. And this is not just a physical building. It is, in a sense, a culmination of the history of the Law Society.
You know, at the moment we are ashamed of our building. It's condemned. If you go to Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, they have excellent office blocks, and here we don't have an office block. So we support the initiative, and in the next 2 years we will have an office block for lawyers here, a prestigious one.
Timothy Kipnusu, Oizi Friday.
Several street dwellers, among them 9 street kids, have been laid to rest in a mass grave at Langata Cemetery in Nairobi, following a series of deaths reported over the past month. Authorities say investigations into the deaths are ongoing as concerns grow over the safety of families living on the streets.
9 street children were among the unknown bodies buried at Langata Cemetery after post-mortem examinations were completed. According to reports, the deaths were reported over the past month, with investigations still ongoing to establish the circumstances surrounding the fatalities. Majority of the deaths were caused by ailments associated with cold weather and injuries from street attacks.
Watu wengi wanakufa na sisi tunaangalia, hakuna watu kusaidiwa, tunanini sasa lazima tujifaitie ndio tupate riziki yetu. Kazi maboy, si hatuna makazi, hakuna hapa hivi watu wako na makazi.
President anapeana nyota na anajenga housing. Sisi tunalala nje na pia sisi tuna nyota. Tukipatiwa empowerment na tupatiwe kitu to keep busy, hatutalala hiyo nje. Kukua kwa street si kutaka. Ni situation imetufanya tukafika hapo tuko.
6 more children who died under similar circumstances are expected to be buried next week once the investigations are concluded. The burial ceremony was quiet, attended by a small number of government officials, volunteers and members of the street community.
Today we are burying 15 bodies, and since it has been an ongoing calamity, we decided to take the mass graves because it is actually expensive for the medical bills in the hospitals, which are never waived. We also have to buy the space at Langata.
With no known relatives to claim their bodies, The children were buried together, an outcome that has raised concern among child rights organizations. Advocates say the burials reflect the difficult realities faced by children living and working on the streets, including exposure to harsh conditions and limited access to basic services.
In the year 2012, we had Emmanuel Kalisa Maitha as the Minister for Local Government. He is the last person who wanted to rehabilitate these street families. And I remember there was a 40-acre property at Ruai. So I'm asking the Nairobi City County to rehabilitate these street families because there is that allocation of 40 acres land.
As investigations continue, stakeholders are calling for sustained efforts to protect vulnerable children and prevent further loss of life. Ian Zive for Easy Friday.
Now, for 25 years, Wikipedia has stood as one of the world's most trusted free sources of information, built not by governments or corporations, but by ordinary people. In Kenya, that global vision has translated into local stories, languages, and identities, finding a permanent place on the internet. Our reporter Aaron Marie attended the anniversary and filed the following report.
From classrooms to newsrooms, researchers to students, Wikipedia remains one of the most visited platforms online, now ranking just behind artificial intelligence tool in global search results on UClick search.
It's just that in schools we were taught Wikipedia is not credible, but as we've come to learn, it's very credible because we are the ones who are editing. We look for reliable sources.
But as the digital space rapidly evolves, the question is no longer just about access to information, but who creates it and whose stories are told.
We deal with editing, articles on the film, biographies about actors and actresses, musicians, and all that. So basically, we focus on improving articles.
The anniversary was not about the platform itself, but the people behind it.
And part of digital literacy is not just consuming information online, but also contributing to creating that information. That has been our biggest win, where we are not just the people who read things online, but we're the people who contribute to putting the information, accurate and verifiable information that people read.
Through initiatives such as Wiki Loves Africa, she said, Art plus Feminism, Wiki for Human Rights, and campaigns documenting Kenya's cinema and Swahili language, volunteers have worked to close long-standing content gaps, particularly around women, local leaders, culture, and indigenous knowledge.
The last campaign was late last year on art and feminism, which has been unchanging for me. It helped me see the bridge gap between the women disparity and the digital literacy on our online encyclopedia.
More young people are gaining digital literacy, research, fact-checking and leadership skills, while Kenya's presence online continues to grow, shaped by Kenyans for a global audience.
This is the free online encyclopedia, and this becomes important for us as a community that has been working towards shrinking Kenya's content gaps on that world's largest online encyclopedia.
As artificial intelligence increasingly reshapes how people search for information, Wikimedia has embraced AI tools to support moderation, translation, and content improvement. But caution was also made that technology must complement, not replace, human knowledge.
And sometimes when we talk about free knowledge, sometimes people wonder what exactly is free knowledge. Free knowledge is information that is available for use and reuse by everyone. It also means that it is information that people can also create.
At the same time, Wikimedia Kenya has made deliberate strides toward inclusivity, increasing women representation in content creation to over 30%, up from significantly lower level in earlier years. The future of information depends not just on technology, but on community diversity and trust. With the coming of the AI technology, the existing media industries are utilizing its technology to enhance content creation. Reporting for Easy Friday, I'm Aaron Marie.
Thank you, Aaron Marie. It has now emerged that misappropriation of taxpayers' funds, irregular appointments, ethnic staff composition and irregular awarding of tenders are starving and hindering education services at several technical teaching institutes across the country. This was evident when Thika Technical Training Institute, led by their principal Samburu, was at pains to explain a 9.8 million shillings expenditure on a cafeteria that was rented out for the institution, but no documentation was provided to the auditor after establishing the venture led to a 5 million shillings loss of public funds for the period ending 30th of June 2025. Here is Abdiaziz Hashim with the details.
Yes, Principal.
The Auditor General Nancy Gathungu-led office has unraveled the rot within technical teaching institutes that is hindering educational services in the said institutions.
We have told the caterers that we shall let out that police.
You are not accepting. Then somebody must be accountable for this 5 million. Give it to finance.
Appearing before the Public Investment Committee on Governance and Education of the National Assembly, Thika Technical Training Institute, led by their principal Samburu, was at pains to explain a 9.8 million shilling expenditure on a cafeteria that was rented out for the institution, but no documentation was availed to the auditor.
We are going to rent out the services and then we'll be getting a rent instead of operating it.
No, by the time you do losses of 5 million, there's someone who's not doing the work. Go through all the documentation for 3 years. If there is aspect of money laundering, why are we having these losses, so that we determine where to apportion.
The committee resolved that the loss will be investigated and declared the principal and staff from the institution as incompetent and unfit to hold public office.
Could we be dealing with a complacent person, the person who has been part of the problems? Because Madam is not willing to answer any question. We may be forced, Chairman, to declare unfit.
I took this to the board last year.
When did you know as a manager now?
Yes, I would say that we have been carrying these losses, and that's why the board said that they would let out this.
Further, the auditor flagged irregular date of appointment, lack of recruitment records, and irregular salary increment of 1,500 from 1,000 Kenya shillings per hour for a German trainer.
Part-time trainer worked in this institution in total.
Kindly allow me to calculate and submit.
For how long have you been having this person?
You don't have to calculate the hours. Just say 5 months, 2 months, 1 week, 1 year.
From May 2024.
Madam Principal, you are genuinely incompetent.
Meanwhile, Samburu Senator Steve Lelegwe has refuted claims made by nominated Senator Hezena Lemaletian that he sent 25 goons to physically assault her for declaring her intentions to vie for the senatorial seat in the next year's general election.
We have never had any confrontation, disagreement, or conflict, and this is clear on our submissions yesterday.
What caught my attention was the threats posed against me by the person behind the contact.
Abdiaziz Hashim for Easy Friday.
Now, Transport Principal Secretary Mohammed Daga has assured the creative economy stakeholders in Mombasa of continued use of Little Theatre Club. The announcement comes after a 9-member committee was constituted last week to find an amicable solution to a stalemate on the construction of a technical and vocational education and training center on the piece of land. Addressing journalists outside the Little Theatre Club building, the PS reiterated their commitment in supporting the creative arts economy by improving the standards and at the same time commencing with the construction of the Railway Institute to coexist in the same grounds. Sentiments echoed by the area Member of Parliament, Mohammed Mashale, who assured them of his support and called on the youth to enroll for the courses that will be offered at the institute.
to announce that the creative economy practice will continue as was, but in an improved condition. We are also happy to announce that the Railway Training Institute will commence here in Mombasa County at this given premise. We will work internally to improve this space to ensure that it's accommodative of both the two practices, both the institute and also the creative arts that has been going on here.
So kama CDF tutasupport mayouth wote, watatupa hizo study zao, tuangalie njia gani tutawasponsor youth waje hapa kuenroll by March. Even hawa ambao wanafanya creative talents pia tutawasponsor waje hapa kwa class.
Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi has announced a 1.3 billion shillings rural electrification rollout in Taita Taveta County, targeting more than 15,000 households as the government accelerates its national last-mile power connectivity program. The ministry says eligible homes will be connected at no cost in what the government calls a major push towards universal electricity access. Residents say access to electricity will transform livelihoods, extend business hours, and improve learning conditions for school children. Ben Chumba has more details.
Energy Cabinet Secretary has launched a major rural electrification drive in Taita Taveta County. The program, being implemented by the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation, is part of the national government's accelerated countryside connectivity plan.
Some 1.3 billion shillings has been pumped into this county of Taita Taveta in the last 1 year or so, and that will be able to connect about 15,000 or so households in the final analysis. This constituency alone has got about 500 million shillings, and that will connect about 5,000 or so households. And therefore, we must say that this is a game changer.
The projects commissioned today will link 558 homes across Mata, Grogan and Lotima B and C villages.
This is not just talking. This is actually action. And why do I say it's action? Money has been allocated through budget. Not just allocated. It has actually been disbursed to our agencies, REREC and Kenya Power. And therefore, as a ministry, we have got no doubt whatsoever in our minds that these projects will be implemented and completed within the scheduled timelines.
The ministry says households covered under the last mile program will not pay connection fees, with the government covering installation costs, while residents will only pay for monthly electricity usage after activation.
Wakati tulianza na hii serikali ya William Ruto, connectivity percentage ya Taveta ilikuwa around 30%. We have raised it to around 60% right now, and I know kupitia ushirikiano ule mimi nimekuwa na wewe na ule urafiki tuko nao na Mheshimiwa Rais, we are guaranteed that by the grace of God, by the time we are doing 2032, hakuna nyumba hapa Taveta itakuwa haina steam.
According to the ministry, similar electrification projects are ongoing across several counties as part of a nationwide push to close the electricity access gap and support rural economic growth, education and small businesses.
So we're happy to contribute, to make our small contribution as a ministry in that journey, that very important journey of transforming Kenya into a first world economy. So in that transformation, I'm happy to report that no part of the country will be left behind. And therefore, Taita Taveta County.
For many families here, tonight will be their first night with light powered by electricity. A change residents say will reshape how they live and work.
Mimi ni mzaliwa wa hapa, nimezaa, nimekuwa mpaka na wajukuu. Sijawahi ona umeme. Huwa tunatumia tu chemli ama koroboi, ndio tulikuwa tunatumia sana na kununua mafuta. Na siku huna pesa ya kununua mafuta, hiyo siku watoto hawasomi. Ni kule kupika tu haraka.
Nishamuuliza mamangu, akamwambia mbona tuna stima?
Akaniambia tuliambiwa tutaekewa, lakini tusubiri ipo siku hata sitafikiwa. Lakini nashukuru na nafurahia leo nimeona stima kweli.
Ben Chumba, Easy Friday.
The Kenyan and Turkish governments have launched a barrister training project at Kenya Utalii College to equip youth with internationally competitive coffee skills for the global market. This and other stories in our County News Roundup.
Speaking during the launch, Utalii College Council Chair David Wamatsi said the program will empower learners with the practical skills to fill the global markets.
The barrister training project reflects the power of strategic partnerships that move beyond infrastructure to empower learners with practical skills, confidence, and global relevance.
This facility will not only enhance learning outcomes, but will also inspire more young people to enroll in barrister training, positioning Kenya as a hub for professional coffee excellence.
And the government has reaffirmed its commitment to productivity reforms in the public service, citing them as a critical driver of economic growth, fiscal sustainability, and improved service delivery.
This is why productivity improvement is not an abstract reform. It is a delivery tool for national transformation. Encouragingly, we are already seeing the power of productivity and digitization reforms through ongoing public service digitization.
Meanwhile, calls for national campaign against cervical and prostate cancer have intensified with a week-long medical camp in Giriambu, Kirinyaga County, recording a notably high turnout of men seeking prostate cancer screening.
I want to talk about screening of young women, young productive women of ages 25 to 49 years. Let us have this age group going to facilities and getting tested, getting screened, and ensuring that they know their status. We are working patients, and any given time, you do not know when it can hit you. Therefore, it is good to keep on screening so that you can know your status.
Elsewhere, boda operators in Bomet County have benefited from a financial literacy training program seeking to help riders grow their income sustainably while avoiding debt traps often linked to uninformed borrowing. Separately, efforts to strengthen public health services continue at the national and county governments through a community-centered universal health coverage and environmental sanitation program rolled out across the country.
Have this program running across the country, Epuka Uchafu, Afya Nyumbani. And Kenya has taken a very decisive step forward through the rollout of the community-centered universal health coverage.
And in Nyandarua County, thousands of residents in Kipipiri sub-county are said to benefit from electricity connectivity following the government's continued distribution of electrical poles.
Wakati nilisikia hapa kwenu mjumbe amesema hawezi fuatilia projects za serikali kwa sababu yeye hako serikali. Mimi kama mama county nikaenda kutafuta stima, nimeenda kutafuta mabarabara, nimeenda kufanya project za hapa Kipipiri, na ndio mnaona hapa tumelete vitingi za stima, si ndio?
Nailongeso, Easy Friday.
Now this week, one woman during a political gathering set her terms if she is to abandon the trade of selling illicit brews and wait. Bang. The lady boldly pleaded for financial assistance from the government. Without a doubt, the social media realm was ablaze. Savage netizens for the first time were mesmerized, bamboozled and dumbfounded at all at once.
Just when you think you have seen it all, and boom, somebody else shows you that you are yet to see it all.
Hey, sasa naomba serikali kuu ikuja inisaidie nikoze kuuza pombe hata pamoja na bangi. nauza bank.
I swear you can't make this stuff up.
Wenye nauzia bangi timuko. Muko. Asanteni sana serikali mnisaidia.
Yo, this drama left netizens scrambling to their keyboards to share their views. Mags, it's her audacity for me.
Haki ya Mungu ni mambo gani?
Kelvin, if kuchoma was a person, mobilizer hata ameenda home.
Oh my.
Sandungu, huyu alikula stock before aende kwa mkutano.
Mama.
Maina responded, zikashika in between the speech.
Akiamuka asubuhi pombe. Akiamuka asubuhi bangi.
Rosa, Pedi amekula stock akauza hadi clients.
Fire si fire. Ni noma si noma.
Nicholas retorted, disadvantage ya kukula stock.
Nataka muniombe. I'm going through a lot of problems. Na ni mimi nijiletea.
Favored, Kenya is not a real place, honestly. I wonder what the authorities have to say about this reformed peddler.
Don't want peace. I want problems, always.
It's Denise. Wahenga hawaamini kibaya cha jiuza.
Punguzeni bangi.
Machel Salki responded with a saying, nguruwe ujikaanga na mafuta yake.
Yeah.
Eugene, wenye alikuwa anauzia bangi hawaamini. Dave concluded, sisi hatupo bana.
Wenye nauzia bangi timuko. Muko.
But keeping up with the drama, one Shiksha Arora had the German foreign minister enjoying Kenyan culture from Ganya's
Beba, 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 customer! Mia, tao, mia, customer!
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. Welcome. Twende bus.
Kenyan popular moves.
We also have a very popular dance move.
Yeah.
It's called Anguka Nayo.
Okay.
So this is what we do. Yes. Then you bend. Yes. That was awesome.
To Kibandanski lifestyle.
Turn it over?
Yeah.
Yes.
Also seeing the minister with his security detail wrote, Gari imejaa CIA, Interpol na FBI. Magothe responded, yo gari imejaa bunduki hapo, hakuna story za top shota.
Si ati nini? Ni mbaya. Haya.
Reagan wrote, ati 100 kwa minister. Bonnie responded, kama amelipa 100, amegongwa, huwa ni 80 bob.
Na bado.
Hiyo ni gonjo. Hiyo ni gonjo.
Stacy's only concern, hiyo ni chakula ya 80 amelipishwa 300. Ozzy wondered, mbona hajakula hizo chapo?
Go and ask your grandfather.
Mwikali, uwi, German foreign minister anajua kuroll chapati round kuniliko.
So we don't have the capacity.
We're up this hard. So how about we enjoy this week's banger? Well, that's it for us. Catch you next week on Savage Netizens for Easy Friday. I am Teresa Mutai.
Thank you, Tess. Now, death is a universal experience, but every community responds to it differently. Among the Kikuyu, burial traditions have evolved significantly over time, from ancient practices rooted in nature to structured ceremonies shaped by religion and modern life. Tonight on My Culture, we explore the journey of a Kikuyu burial custom and how they have evolved over time.
Today, when a member of the Kikuyu community passes on, the process is organized and structured Committees are formed to plan a befitting send-off. Funds are raised. A eulogy detailing the life and legacy of the deceased is written. Family, friends and colleagues gather for memorial services, sometimes held a day before burial. The body is preserved in a mortuary until the burial date. Those wishing to view the deceased do so at the mortuary before the funeral proceedings begin.
Mtu wa kutaka kuona mwili wa yule ambaye amekufa anamuonea katika mortuary. Tunapatiana nafasi hiyo, mwili unafunguliwa, hata ikiwa ni hapa dirishani. Katika jeneza inakuwa na dirisha, hiyo ndio zaidi inafunguliwa, sio mwili wote. Na ukimuonea hapo, sanduku ilikifungwa, hakuna kufungua.
Grave digging may begin as early as 3 days before the burial. After the church service, the body is transported, often in a hearse, to the burial grounds. Elders observe the placement of the grave according to custom. Once the casket is lowered, family members and close friends pour soil as a final gesture of farewell. Young men traditionally complete the covering of the grave. 3 wreaths are often placed at the gravesite, symbolizing love, respect, and remembrance. After the burial, mourners share a meal before departing, marking the close of the ceremony. Mourners remain until the very end as a final sign of respect. But burial among the Kikuyu was not always this way. In the distant past, graves were not dug in the manner seen today. When a person was critically ill and nearing death, they were removed from the house and taken to the forest.
Kufa. Akionekana amezidiwa na ugonjwa, alikuwa anatolewa na kuenda kuwekwa kwenye kichaka. Ndio akifa kuliwe na mafisi. Lakini ikiwa alikuwa bado akionekana, hakuwa anatolewa. Watu walikuwa wanachunga sana wasimtoe azidi kuwa hai.
Over time, practices evolved to wrapping the deceased in cloth or animal skins without coffins.
Tulianza kuchimba mashimo na hata kuzika miili ikifungwa na mangunia na mablanketi. Ikaonekana hata hiyo haitoshi, ni heri kuzika miili ikiwa ndani ya masanduku.
Burial took place within the homestead, guided entirely by custom and spiritual belief. Christianity and modernization would later reshape these customs. Coffins replaced cloth wrappings. Mortuaries replaced homesteads.
Achukue kama siku samba, watu wakutane, wajue jinsi watavyozikana.
Hearses replaced traditional means of transport.
Wakikuyu walikuwa wanatengeneza miti miwili hivi na kuweka ngunia katikati, mwili unawekwa hapa, wanaume wawili mbele, wengine nyuma, wengine wawili nyuma, wanabeba hadi kaburini. Magari tuliopata tukaanza kutumia mapickup. Baada ya mapickup ni hizi hearses.
Yet culture in burial remains visible. Elders still oversee certain aspects of burial placement.
Na mwili wa Wakikuyu unawekwa kichwa kiangalia west. Kichwa kiangalie west. Na anazikwa ndio ikiwa ataamka, ingawaje hawaamuki. Ikiwa ataamka, aamke akielekea direct nyumbani.
Community fundraising continues. The collective farewell endures. While custom and religion differ in practice, they do not greatly conflict in principle. Both emphasize dignity, respect, and remembrance. In recent times, new challenges have emerged, including incidents of coffin theft, prompting increased security on the burial site.
Siku hizi kuna wale wanaiba majeneza. Tunaonelea sisi kama Wakikuyu kuweka mchanga kwanza 3/4 ama uache kama futi 3 hivi kuenda juu, kuenda chini ni mchanga. Hapa juu unakorogea, unaweka koroga, ndio mwenye kuiba akiona imekorogwa, akichimba aone kama imekorogwa, hawezi akatoa hiyo jeneza haraka.
Some families, honoring the wishes of the departed, now choose cremation, reflecting further shifts in cultural expression. Jackie Wamburu, My Culture.
Sahi, ukidial *419# option 4 ama uingie kwa tushinde.com, hakuna probox. Jaribu, ni ukweli. Yaani nimeshaingia na ndio tunafyeka. Ya inaona iko ndani. Wanaongelea nini hao? Ni shamba. Na sio moja, sio mbili, shamba 3 hapa Juja. Very nice. Na ni area moja development na growth iko promising sana. Stima iko ndani. Hiyo. Maji inapatikana. Wow. Security iko sawa na all basic amenities zinapatikana. Shamba ni 3 na kuingia kwa draw ili kujishindia moja kati ya shamba hizi 3 ni 35 bob pekee. Na mtu akitaka zote 3, iko special ticket ya kuweza kujishindia shamba zote 3 kwa tikiti moja ya 99 bob pekee. Hata hiyo, na barabara ni nywe mpaka kwa ploti yako, na kila ploti is worth 1.5 million Kenyan shillings. Hii 2026 hatuland tu, tunaland mara 3 na tushinde.com au *419# option 4. Umesema vizuri sana. Wewe fieka. Na fieka.
Welcome back. Let's now take a look at all the stories making headlines in the world of business. Now, the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher is urging Kenya to ensure accountability and openness in the mining sector to keep operations running smoothly. Landau says transparency would help reassure American investors about returns on their investments.
Mining companies want extensive public participation carried out in key mining regions before they can commit to any mining contracts. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landa says the issue of public participation has seen disrupted mining processes, hurting mining investors.
Ambassador to Mexico, U.S. Ambassador to Mexico during the first Trump administration, they have a very long mining history in Mexico. But I think traditionally, the governments there, or whoever has been able to grant the mining concession, has never really bothered to explain to the people in the local communities how the mining was going to benefit them. And so therefore, as a result, you often have strikes in the mining areas. You have very tense relationship, because I think a lot of the people feel that they are being exploited and that the wealth is not being shared. Maybe the wealth that comes from that community all goes to the capital city and they never see it. Maybe going to somebody's Swiss bank account.
Strife in mining regions is also being blamed on rising mineral prices globally due to disruption of the supply chain.
You're talking about creating wealth that ultimately comes from things that are real, and the wealth of the earth is probably the most primal source of wealth there is.
Mining Cabinet Secretary Ali Hassan Joho says critical mining infrastructure, including roads, will be developed in mineral-rich regions to ensure host communities benefit from revenue from their natural resources.
We are the corridor that serves over 200 and something million population. We are the largest port. We have invested heavily in our infrastructure. The government has announced expansion of our standard gauge rail. We have revamped our MGR.
Joho says Kenya has drastically reduced the duration it takes before issuance of mining licenses.
In terms of policy framework, we have reviewed our regulations, because one of the greatest sticking point of the period was, how do we handle communities? How do communities participate fairly and squarely?
Realizing this potential will require deliberate action. Kenya must continue to strengthen its regulatory framework, investing in geological mapping and infrastructure.
This comes as an American company has submitted a bid to the National Mining Corporation to explore rare earth minerals in Mrima Hills, Kwale County, and the recent discovery of gold deposits in Ikolomani, Kakamega County. Benson Rioba reporting for Easy Friday.
The Taifa Gas project at the Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone in Mombasa County is 80% complete and is expected to be operational within the next 2 months. Investments Cabinet Secretary Lee Kinyanjui says the facility will add 30,000 metric tons of liquefied petroleum gas storage and boost distribution capacity, strengthening Kenya's ability to meet domestic demand and supply East Africa.
The government has been encouraging a shift from traditional biomass fuels such as charcoal and firewood to cleaner alternatives, including LPG and electricity, to reduce deforestation, indoor air pollution, and carbon emissions. Kenya has increased investments in LPG infrastructure over the past decade as part of its clean energy transition agenda.
Kenya will be able to have an additional 30,000 metric ton capacity here, making it not just distribution for the country, but also for the entire region, including the countries that are around us.
Kinyanjui says the proximity of Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone to the port of Mombasa makes it attractive to export-oriented investors targeting international markets.
And one of the things that we are keen to ensure is that we increase value addition and manufacturing in Kenya. And this special economic zone, being at the port, is designed to attract investors with an export market in mind.
The Special Economic Zones Authority says its focus has now shifted to fully occupying existing zones across the country, including Dongo Kundu and Naivasha, with more projects expected to be rolled out in phases over the next 5 years.
We are also incentivizing some of the investors to give us infrastructure. You've already seen what's happening at the port, where the berth is being constructed. Those kind of investment is what we are attracting, what we are trying to encourage, so that they can provide supportive and necessary infrastructure for ease of movement of goods and to do what they are good at.
Nduta Mokami for Easy Friday.
The rate of inflation has slowed to 4.4%, down from 4.5% last month, mainly on account of lower energy costs and some food items. The latest Kenya National Bureau of Statistics data indicates that an increase in basic foodstuffs such as maize, flour, vegetables and Irish potatoes were not big enough to counter reductions in the cost of petroleum products and other food items.
The latest Kenya Bureau of Statistics report indicates that the cost of living eased with the average increase in prices slowing when compared to last month. The cost of basic commodities such as maize flour, Irish potatoes, cabbages, sukuma wiki, electricity and private secondary school tuition charges all went up by between 3.1% and 9.3%. However, they did not offset corresponding reductions in prices of items such as sugar, fuel and mangoes that are in season in regions that they are grown. Overall, the rate of inflation slowed marginally from last month's figure of 4.5% to 4.4%. This was mainly on account of higher core inflation, which is compiled from non-volatile commodities such as manufactured food items, health services, education services and ICT. Core inflation accounted for 2.6 points, while non-core inflation contributed 1.8 points to the overall inflation in January of 2026. Of this, food and non-alcoholic beverages contributed to 2.2 points to the overall inflation. Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Cooperative Bank is leveraging technology to expand access to investment knowledge and promote inclusive economic growth. The lender has rolled out free online training programs to equip young people with practical skills on how to invest in the capital markets and long-term financial planning. Kingdom Securities Limited Senior Research Analyst Stella Swakey believes informed investment is key for wealth creation and financial resilience.
Is a learning curve. You learn every day, you make decisions every day. If you have invested or you took your chance, your time to learn and understand why you're investing and what stock you're investing in, then one day it will still go up. I would want to demystify that myth that you should be rich or only the rich people invest in the stock market.
East African Breweries has reported 11.2 billion shillings during the 6-month period to December 2025, mainly driven by higher sales. The listed company says profit jumped 38% due to income growth, operational efficiencies, and lower finance costs after the company reduced its debt by 2.2 billion Kenya shillings. East African Breweries has proposed an interim dividend payout of 4 shillings per share.
Debt, I touched on this already, continued debt reduction. I think if you're here, maybe last year we were showing us coming from somewhere like 60 billion. We're now sitting at 37 billion, which is very comfortable. But even more compelling for me is that we've been able to get a better mix of fixed and floating, just because in our region, volatility of interest rate is real. So ensuring that your debt portfolio has a good mix of fixed and floating means that in the future you're able to protect the balance sheet and the P&L, particularly from volatile results. We also have to keep investing, whether it's behind the brands or capex, but it has to be smart so that it delivers back to the shareholder or to the stakeholders. Productivity, our own language of cost efficiency. Again, keep watching every penny that we spend, that it is necessary, that it is bottom up driven, and that it makes sense for the business.
And finally, in business news tonight, Public Service and Special Programs Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruto says plans are underway to start growing fodder on idle public land to cushion livestock farmers during drought periods. Here is Trevor Ngendo with the details.
The establishment of strategic animal feed centers and the National Feed Reserve seeks to break the recurring cycle of drought-related livestock losses, particularly in arid and semi-arid counties.
We are looking into putting in place where we can have strategic animal feed reserve, so that once we have a drought in future, the only thing we'll be looking at is the transporting this feed in all corners of affected counties.
Support cattle so that we can have enough distribution of the animal feeds and animal nutrients to northeastern region and to the other places which are affected by the drought.
Under the plan, the National Youth Service will utilize its vast idle land and manpower to grow hay and other animal feed supplements in collaboration with Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, an approach the government says will boost fodder production capacity and ensure a steady supply of nutritious animal feeds.
As an agency of the government, we will do all what it takes to ensure that we don't lose lives, we don't lose livestock, and we will want to carry forward the discussion we've had today so that in the next few coming weeks, we should be able to resolve and support the counties in the asal areas.
We have government institutions and capacity to start growing other plants which can be used to make animal supplement within cattle land. And also we have NOS, which has the capacity. We have young people who are getting trained there, who are doing national service, and they can work in some of these programs or these projects.
Ruto is assuring pastoralists that the government is intensifying investments in water provision and drought mitigation projects. Trevor Ngendo for Easy Friday.
Differently. Some of the challenges that come with autism
that a parent is always able to pick. The first one is always around speech.
Our main focus is supporting our children or our students to be able to achieve independence and the necessary skills that are required for them to be able to thrive in their life and in this environment.
Every child is a gift from God, and God had a purpose, and he is ready to give you the ability to be able to meet the need of that child. Speak about it, talk about it, do not fear. Come out to the limelight and you'll get help.
Differently able.
How do you heal? How do you move on, whether it's in relationships, whether it's with family, with friends?
So when I hear about healing, one, I believe it's all about clarity and stability when you're making your decisions.
Loving is not a feeling. It is an action. It is to give that love that is required. And so that is why I believe you cannot at all. Where's it bear? You can't love that person and you're still healing.
I put my hope in you, for you are the lifter of my head. You say, I put my trust in you.
Very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Easy Friday Sport. Now, the Harambee Starlets have stepped up their preparations for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations with a one-week mini-camp targeting locally based players. The camp will run from this week, and that is on Sunday, and is designed to assess and identify emerging talent from the local leagues as Kenya builds towards continental showpiece scheduled for the month of March.
The mini-camp forms a key pathway to the Starlets' provisional WAFCON squad, giving the technical bench a closer look at standout performances who could earn a place in the final team. Players who impress will be considered for selection when the squad reports to the main residential camp on February 15th, marking the final phase of preparations. Harambee Starlets head coach Beldino Demba emphasized the importance of exercise, describing it as a part of ongoing player evaluation process. A total of 23 players have been named for the camp, and they include goalkeepers Anedi Kodu of Kenya Police Bullets, Vivian Shionzo from Kibbet Soccer Women, and Juliet Adhiambo of Trinity Starlets. The defensive unit features Mary Majeso, Ruth Hasona, Cheryl Muyera, Diana Shakava, Euphrasa Shiwato, and Miriam Chelagat of Bungoma Queens. In the midfield, Coach Demba has called Medina Abubakar and Lona Nyabuto from Kenya Police Bullets, Providence Mokalo of Vihiga Queens, and Lucy Nato of Ulinzi Starlet. The forward lines includes Anna Arusi of Kibera Soccer Women, Faith Mboya of Kenya Police Bullets, and Linda Kihara of Kayole Starlet. Meanwhile, the FKF Premier League matches resumes tomorrow with 8 games on card. League leaders Gor Mahia will take on Sopopaka, where they will be looking forward to secure a win that will see them remain on top of the table. In other games, Kakamega Homeboys will play Mara Sugar, Mathare United take on KCB, while Tusker FC will host Posta Rangers. Murang'a Seal will play APS Bomet as defending champions Police FC face Bidco United.
And to inform you is that Murang'a Seal will be playing on Sunday, and that match is going to be live on KBC Channel 1, so do not miss that game. Cabinet Secretary for Sports Salim Mvurya today received the draft sports bill and the national sports policy from the task force that was compiling the proposals. The key issues addressed by the new law include athletes' welfare, management of sports, infrastructure, talent development in schools, and governance and leadership in federations. The new law also proposes formal recognition of fans, associations, and groups to inculcate discipline and order and eliminate cases of hooliganism in sports. The task force to review the Sports Policy and Sports Act 2013 was constituted in November 2024 with a mandate to review and make recommendations on how to transform the sector.
We are also looking at
how we are going to facilitate a close partnership with the Ministry of Education. You know, matters talents are now very key in our education curriculum, and they have been highlighted, and therefore I advise the team to align with the Ministry of Education so that we don't miss anything. The government of Kenya has equally committed to clean sports.
There are areas which we think are groundbreaking, which we would like to ensure become pillars as part of how we see sports functioning. Those include the proper application of sports science, sports medicine, technology and innovation, and research, proper institutions for ensuring that sports is data-driven.
And the national 7th team, Shujaa, will open their World Rugby 72 campaign against Canada on the 14th of next month in the first round of the first leg at the National Stadium. Shujaa will then take on Belgium in the afternoon before wrapping up the day against Germany. The Kenya Rugby Lionesses, on the other hand, will face Brazil in their opening match of the first round before they take on China to end the day session against their arch rival South Africa. They will face Argentina and Spain on Sunday for a place in the last four as Shujaa play Uruguay and the USA. The Kenya Lionesses are currently in Spain for a training camp, while Shujaa are training at the RFA grounds in Nairobi after jetting back from South Africa, where they held camp. The National Olympic Committee of Kenya has announced plans to establish a state-of-the-art high-performance training center at the Kenyatta University. Speaking during the launch of a high-performance training program for technical directors and coaches at the Sportsview Hotel in Nairobi, NOCFAS Vice President Barnaba Korir said the initiative is part of the committee's transformative agenda. Korir said Kenya has traditionally dominated in sports, but other nations are rapidly catching up, stressing the need for a shift in strategy. He said the country must move away from manual training methods and fully embrace science, technology, and modern sports research to stay competitive. The coaches' performance will be evaluated during the upcoming major competitions, including the Commonwealth Games and the Youth Olympics.
We cannot achieve that unless also we empower the technical side of the federations, that is coaches, technical officials, and all other support personnel to ensure that they also match with the trends which is happening in the world. If we don't do that, we'll train, we'll work very hard, but at the end of the day, we will not match what the Western world is doing.
And 4 main bouts are expected to highlight the Nightmare Nairobi 2 Boxing Festival to be held on the 27th of February at the Mass House Arena, Ngong Road, Nairobi. Kenya's Joshua Wasike will take to the ring against Jacob Maganga of Tanzania in a cruiserweight title fight. It will be followed by another title bout between Morris Okola of Kenya and Hudson Muhumuza of Uganda, who will fight for the Eastern Central African heavyweight title. Other thrilling bouts on the night will be between Gift Tembo of Zimbabwe against JJ Ngotika of Tanzania, while Kenya's Martin Achebi will fight Karim Magea of Tanzania. There will also be a super welterweight bout between Felix Logenberg of South Africa, who will face Frank Ngobi of Uganda.
Kenya yote anajiona ama anajifeel yeye ni heavyweight kunishinda, nampatia hii challenge. Akuja been holding this title since 2015. There's not any other Kenyan that stood up with me since then up to now. Wanaogopa wakisikia ni Morris wanaingia chini.
It's getting fit, getting strong, sparring loads of rounds, maintaining the weight. I think preparations are going better this time than last camp. Last camp weight took a while to get the weight down, but now we're flying.
And Bunge Volleyball team were off to a winning start in the Kenya Volleyball Men's Division 2 League, where they beat Kenya Air Force in straight sets of 25-18, 25-16 and 25-19 at the Nyanza Stadium handball court. Desert Warriors had started the day's session with a straight sets defeat of the Deaf Volleyball team, who did not manage to score any points in return. Micro Spikers cruised to a straight set, 3-1 victory over JQ of 22-25, 23-25, 25-22 and 12-25, showcasing their depth and tactical discipline. Kenyatta University fell to Simlo's commanding performance with their standout spikes and defensive coverage that saw them win by straight sets of 25-22, 25-22 and 25-22. Kenya Navy was stretched by the Engineers before they managed to beat them in straight sets of 25-20, 25-19 and 29-27. And UEFA have unveiled the knockout phase draws for the Champions League and Europa League competitions, unveiling high-stakes fixtures that will shape the road to the finals in Budapest and Istanbul, respectively. In the UEFA Champions League playoff round, take on Bodo Glimt. The Norwegian side was still on their fairy tale journey. Club Brugge will face Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund will play Atalanta. The winners of the two-legged playoffs will face the top 8 teams from the league phase who proceeded to the last 16. In the Europa League, Celtic will test their strength against VfB to host Celta Vigo. Spaniard world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz marched to the finals of the men's singles after he beat world number 3 Alexander Zverev in today's semi-final thrillers of the Australian Open, which stretched to 5 sets. Alcaraz won by 3 sets to 2 of 6-4, 7-6, 6-7, 6-7 and 7-5 to set up a final place against 10-time winner Novak Djokovic, who knocked out world number 2 defending champion Jannik Sinner in another 5-set thriller where he prevailed by 3 sets to 2 of 3-6, 3-6, 4-6, 6-4 and 6-4. The men's singles final will be played on Sunday, while the women's final is set for tomorrow, 11:30 a.m., with world number 1 and 2-time champion Aryna Sabalenka playing former Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina, who will be out to call revenge. Sabalenka beat Elena Svitolina in straight sets of 6-2, 6-3 as Rybakina stunned Jessica Pegula 6-3, 7-6 in the semi-finals played yesterday.
Secures a place in his very first Australian Open final. Epic and endurance-soaked battle for Sasha Zverev.
That's the sport for tonight. Yes, a lot happening this weekend. Our desk will be there to keep you informed. We are at your service. My name is Daniel Ohome. Over to you, Carren.
Thank you very much, my senior Daniel Wahome, for keeping us up to speed with the latest news and stories making headlines in the world of sports. And it's a wrap right here on Easy Friday. Thank you so much for staying with us since 9 p.m. Our sign language interpreter this evening has been Byron Abuli. Do not go too far, because right after this bulletin, DJ Cool Jacks will be back with a disco funk show to ease you into the weekend. That's all we had for you right here from the KBC Easy Friday desk. I'll see you next Friday with more reports and stories. Have a lovely weekend ahead. Good night.
Sahi, ukidial star 419 hash option 4 ama uingie kwa tushinde.com, hakuna probox. Jaribu, ni ukweli. Yaani umeshaingia